Hello everyone, this is Yunus, and in this video I'm going to talk about trig functions. As you guys know, the first function that comes to mind is the sine or cosine. So I'll start with the sine. The function is normally, if it's given f of x equals sine of x, there's a few things that we need to know about this function. The first thing is that it's continuous on its domain, and the domain of this function would be negative infinity to positive infinity. The second thing, that it's got a period of 2 pi, so that would be the period of the sine. The range of the function would be negative 1, 1, because any value you take from negative infinity to positive infinity, plug it inside sine, you will get a value between negative 1 and 1. The amplitude of the function is going to be 1, and it's an odd function. I mean, something like we can add to it. It's an odd function, and what that means is that if you take sine of negative x, that should be negative sine of x. The graph of this function look like the following. So I know it's going to vary between negative 1 to 1, and it won't exceed those dotted lines there. And I will go by pi halves, so pi over 2, pi, 3 pi over 2, and here I have to take the negative values of those, so negative pi over 2, negative pi, and negative 3 pi over 2. And I know that sine of 0 is 0, sine of pi over 2 will be 1, so the graph is going to look like this. And so on. So this is the graph of sine x. The other function that I would like to talk about is the cosine function. So f of x equals cosine x. Again, I know that this function is continuous on its domain, and its domain is the same as cosine, negative infinity to positive infinity, meaning all the real numbers. I know that the period of this function is 2 pi, and the range is going to be from, same like the sine, it's only negative 1, 1, and the amplitude would be 1, and it's going to be an even function, meaning that if you take cosine of negative x, it would be the same thing as cosine x. I'll move on to the graph of the function. Now the graph of the function cosine is going to look like the following. So it's a function, it's going to move between 1 to negative 1, and again I'll move by pi halves, so pi half, pi, 3 pi halves, 2 pi, then negative pi half, negative pi, negative 3 pi halves, so on. And you know, these will be my horizontal asymptote. That's why I'm putting it dotted. And I know that cosine of 0 is 1. So, and cosine of pi over 2 is 0. So my function will look like this. That, and here it will go to. Okay, and this is going to be the function cosine of x. And the third trig function that I would like to add today is the tangent. So f of x equal tangent x. And let me start with, same thing. It's a continuous function, and I would say the domain is all the numbers from negative infinity to positive infinity, but take away the numbers in the form of pi over 2 plus k pi, meaning pi over 2, 3 pi over 2, 5 pi over 2, 7 pi over 2, and so forth. The period of this function is pi. And it is a odd function. That's basically all I have, all I can say about the tangent of x. It's an odd function, meaning if you take tangent of negative x, it should be negative tangent x. And I'm going to move on to the graph of the tangent. I said that it's not defined on certain points, meaning pi over 2, as I said, this will be pi, this will be 3 pi over 2, and so on. It will be negative pi over 2, negative pi, and negative 3 pi over 2. Here it would have a vertical asymptote there, vertical asymptote there, vertical asymptote there, and a vertical asymptote at that point, and it would be, the graph will look like this. It's basically the same thing, kind of, close to the x cubed function. Well, this is the tangent of x. Well, there is, the other trig functions, which is the secant, cosecant, and cotangent. Those, and I'm going to make another video to describe them. I hope you guys liked the video. Thanks for watching.